Welcome back, brethren. This is Sharpedo43 once again, and today I have another Wi-Fi battle against Teslamouse. Yeah, I know, once again, Teslamouse. But this battle is going to be a lot more different than a lot of other battles, just because this battle is actually, okay, it's a no-you battle first of all, and second of all, it's a really, really long battle. And, regardless of the outcome of the battle, this is actually probably my best, most well-played battle ever. So, just hold on tight, because this is going to be a wild ride. His team, compared to mine's, they're both very threatening, so it's only a matter of who's going to come out on top. So yeah, we're going to see right now who's coming out on top. I'm going to lead off with Zygarde, of course, because I usually do. He's going to lead off with Whisk Me Away, which is the Rotom Wash. I go for the substitute turn 1 because I'm like, you know what, let's see what he wants to do. Let's see if he tries to go for the Will-O-Wisp. He doesn't. He goes for the Hydro Pump and he misses. So that's actually good, I guess, because I don't get any damage on the Zygarde and my substitute's still intact. Not that it matters because he still gets to break it up anyways, but the only difference is that I now get to go for the Dragon Tail. And I actually phase it into Clefable, which is definitely not the matchup I wanted. So I'm gonna, you know, just switch out here. Oh no, actually I don't switch out. I actually go for a substitute once again, because I wanted to see if he tried to like double switch on me, knowing that this matchup isn't ideal for Zygarde. And he goes into Lando team. I get the substitute up, and here I definitely try to go for the Glare, because I really want to paralyze this this Lando team. And it does outspeed and goes for the U-turn, and I'm like, oh, so what's he gonna switch into basically? He goes back into which is the annoying ass Clefable, and I actually go for the Glare on this thing instead, which is actually really good considering that poisoning it or burning it isn't usually the ideal stat on a Clefable if you know that it has Magic Guard. I mean, it could have been unaware as well, but I mean, there's no way I'd know. And personally, Paralysis is probably the best stat you can have on Clefable, since I don't have a sleep move. But anyways, I go for another substitute just to see if I can get the... Or no, I don't go for substitute. I go for an Earthquake because I was already behind the substitute. I went for the Glare. Then this thing went for Moonblast to break the substitute. And then I went for an Earthquake just to get for damage. Just to get damage, basically. Then I switch out after it breaks my substitute. And then I switch into Heatran, anticipating another Moonblast. And then I... Here I think I go for the Stealth Rocks. I stayed in going for the Stealth Rocks because I really, really wanted to get the rocks up because, you know, entry hazards are usually good. Oh, no, I don't go for the Stealth Rocks. I go for the Will-O-Wisp because, I don't know, I was predicting something else. I guess the Landorus T. And he stayed in, so that tells me that he probably carries Thunder Wave and wants to paralyze my Heatran, so I switch out into Zapdos, because it's immune to Thunder Wave. But he actually switches out too, and he goes into Beyblade. And here I actually was going to go for the Volt Switch, but I was afraid that his Lando team might come out, so I just go for the Heat Wave, and he switches into Trishula, which is the Hydreigon. And yeah, that's actually really bad. I stay in though. I go for the Roost, I think, just to see how much damage whatever move he tries to go for. Maybe he'll go for Draco Meteor, but no, he just went for Dark Pulse, and I was like, okay. Then he goes for it again. Here I go for another Heat Wave, thinking he might try to Volt Switch into not Volt Switch. He tried to Hard Switch into Lando T, but he didn't, so I was like, ugh. So I just okay, I think I go for another Volt Switch here. I mean, not Volt Switch, Heat Wave. Oh no, I don't Volt Switch. I actually Hard Switch into Diancie because once again I was afraid of the Lando T coming out. And then yeah, I go into Diancie instead, and he switches out into Rotom. And I go for the Mega Evolution. I stay in with Diancie just to protect, basically, just so that I can get the Mega Evolution off with the speed as well. And then here I think, okay, and he tried to go for the Hydro Pump, obviously, not Hydro Pump, Volt Switch. So I switch out into Rotom because that was like my only thing that can take a Volt Switch. I didn't want to risk this Rotom going for Will-O-Wisp on my Zygarde, so I went into Rotom instead. He does go for the Hydro Pump though, so I was like, that's actually better, because now I don't have to worry about taking too much damage. Here I go for the Volt Switch just to see if I can get some Switch initiative. Like here I actually risked the Speed tie. I was actually hoping he'd win the Speed tie and go for Volt Switch, but I actually ended up winning the Speed tie, so therefore, yeah, he basically gets the Switch advantage. So And I go into Zapdos because really that was my only thing I could go into. And he goes into Redox, which is the Lando T. And here I was about to stay in and go for the Heat Wave, but I was like, you know what, maybe that's not a good idea, so I'll just go into Zygarde instead. If he goes for U-turn, that's fine. But he actually goes for the Stunish. I was like, oh shit, thank goodness I switched out. I just dodged the bullet right there. And here I think I just try to go for the Glare again. Yeah, I definitely think I try to go for the Glare again. I don't know why. For some reason I thought he would just stay in, but he didn't. He actually just switched out back into Clefable. I was thinking of going for Substitute, but I was just afraid he'd go into some. I don't know what I was afraid of, honestly. Probably just the Clefable. I could have gotten. Probably I didn't want to lose HP and figured, you know what, let's preserve our HP for something else. Because my switch into Clefable is clearly the Heat Ran, especially if I can play around with it going for Moonblast all the time. He does switch out though, and he goes back into Starmie, and I'm like, oh. I was actually just gonna go for Lava Plume just to get some damage up. And then I just switch out. Cause yeah, this matchup is definitely not the best. He goes for Scald, so thank goodness I switched out. Cause Rotom can definitely take a Scald from this Life Orb Starmie. It's named Beyblade, by the way, which is pretty funny. He switches out though. And he's gonna go back into Clefable. I think here I tried to go for the Will-O-Wisp. Again, predicting the Lando T for some reason. I don't know why I keep predicting Lando T in this battle. Like, what the hell? I go for Hydro Pump just to get some damage on this thing and see how much it does. It does a quarter, so I was like, you know what? This is probably not a good idea. And this Moonblast does a lot to Rotom, which is crazy. I'm like, how am I not doing much to Clefable, but this thing is doing a lot with Moonblast to me? Like, what the fluffernutter? That is so weird. So I just went for Pain Split, and I think here I go for it a couple more times because I couldn't stand this Clefable getting so much damage off of my Rotom. This is a bulky Rotom. It's not Spadef invested, but it's still a bulky Rotom. How is Moonblast doing this much damage? I don't even know. So I just go for another Pain Split. I'm like, you know what? Give me that HP back and start going for Moonblast and get paralyzed already. God damn it. Because this thing is still annoying no matter what condition it's at, basically. So yeah, so after a couple Pain Splits, I think here is where I switch out. Yeah, I hard switch because I didn't want to Volt Switch on the Astros. He goes into Lando T. So I just switched out, and he went for the Moonblast. So I was like, okay, thank goodness I went for into Heat Ran, because damn, that Clefable was doing a lot to my Rotom with that Moonblast. If this thing is bulky, how on earth is it doing that much if it has no investment on special attack? Now here's where I finally go for the rocks on my Heat Ran. And actually put this thing away. Not really, but I go for the rocks, and I think here he got paralyzed again. So that clearly tells me he was trying to go for the Thunder Wave, and as you can see, he went for it. And I actually anticipated the Thunder Wave a long time already, so I just went into Magnet Zone to try to scare it away. I doubled into Diancie right here, thinking he'd switch out because the Flash Cannon would have probably been obvious. So, but he didn't fall for it. I went for Volt Switch there too with Magnezone, so I was like, yeah, but it didn't matter. That was kind of a risky play though, because that thing didn't do anything. Or if he went into Lando T, I could have been screwed, because he would have gotten a free U-turn. But he switches out and goes back into Rotom Heat. And I do in fact switch it up to Flash Cannon, thinking, you know what, if he stayed in earlier, then he'll probably stay in again. But he didn't. He actually switched into Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat. I don't know why on earth am I confusing it with Rotom Heat. But I switch out now because I don't want to. I need to be careful not getting this thing to Volt Switch or even get any pivots into the Lando T, because if it does, I'd be in big trouble. So I just switch into this thing, and he goes into Slade, which is the Scizor. I already went into Rotom, and looking at how weakened this Rotom is, I figured this was like the only thing I had to sack. I was actually going to try to go for Will-O-Wisp on this thing, but this thing is surprisingly faster. I guess it makes sense because Rotom is invested in defense and HP, I think, and this thing is probably one of those jolly max speed, max attack invested Scizors. It had Bug Bite too, so I mean, yeah, I was definitely not living that whatsoever. So I went into Zapdos here because I wanted to go for the Heat Wave. I didn't want to go for Volt Switch in case he went for that damn Lando T. Let me tell you that Lando T has been freaking scaring me all through this match, because I've never been able to go for Volt Switch just because I keep thinking that thing is going to come out and try to Stone Edge me or scare me away or go for U-turn. So I was like, damn. Like, can I get this prediction right for once? But no, that Landorus T had me like scared shitless, so it just makes sense. But anyways, I switch out here. I don't Volt Switch obviously because I didn't want to freaking risk the Lando T coming out, and I go into Heat Rain, and I just go for Lava Plumes here, cause yeah, he gets a flinch with Dark Pulse, so he gets a lot more damage on my Heat Rain, unfortunately. But I guess Heat Rain did what it could. Got the rocks up at least. I don't have to worry about this thing losing, or I don't have to worry about what's it called? I don't know. I wasn't worried about losing Heat Rain for some reason. I know that the Mega Scissor was still a threat, but I still had Zapdos, so yeah. Here he goes for the Rapid Spin, which by the way, I keep forgetting that Starmie's carry Rapid Spin. I don't know why. But yeah, and I went for Lava Plume here, just to get chip damage, and I was actually hoping for the burn, because I feel like with the burn it might actually KO this Starmie. But he just goes for the Scald. Yeah, I feel like if I got the burn there, it would have knocked out the Starmie as well, but it didn't, so this thing is still alive. I go into Zapdos, which was risky because looking at its HP, I think it's in range for an Ice Beam, especially with that Life Orb, but he actually just Heart Switches, and I'm like, huh? Get it? But yeah, and I just go for the Roost because I wanted to see what it would go for, and I wanted to see if I actually would take an Ice Beam if he did have it. And then here I go for another Heat Wave because, once again, just predicting that damn Landorus T. Because, like, that's like the one thing that's discouraging me from going for Volt Switch, because I always keep thinking that the Volt Switch is way too obvious, but once again, mispredicting. And he just goes for the, I think that was a Moonblast. Yeah, it was a Moonblast, and I just Volt Switch. Didn't do a lot compared to Rotom Wash, which is crazy, actually. I go into Magnezone here. I actually did Volt Switch out here, I think. And here I try to go for the Flash Cannon, and the reason why I went for Flash Cannon this time was because, again, I was literally afraid. Okay, first of all, it's super effective on Clefable, and I was afraid he might stay in, and even if he didn't stay in and switched out, I was afraid he'd actually go into Landorus T, so therefore if I tried Volt Switching, he'd get some kind of advantage, and I didn't want that, so I just went for Flash Cannon, made the safe play basically. He goes for Hydro Pump, misses as I switch into Zapdos. That's actually kind of good because I don't take any damage. Although here I think I go for the Roost anyways, or no, I go for the Heat Wave, and I miss, and he missed a Hydro Pump too, so I was like, wow, we're all missing moves here, left and right. He goes for the Pain Split just to get more HP back, and I'm like, you know what, I'm fine with that, but I'm gonna go for the Roost, because not to mention, I can also just PP stall his Hydro Pumps with Zapdos' Pressure ability, so I was like, you know what, let's just Roost stall this thing. And if he goes for Volt Switch, I'm gonna take it very well because I lose the Flying typing after roosting because I outspeed it, because Zapdos has naturally higher speed than Rotom Wash. And he goes back into Redox. Now here, because of this whole time of being scared of this Landorus T coming out, here I just freaking make the risky play, and it actually, oh no, I don't, not yet. This happens later, but I switch out here into Zygarde, and I think here he goes for knockoff instead of U-turn, which is, I lose the leftovers, but here I actually was trying to scare him into going for the Glare, so I forced him to switch out, and here I just double switch out, knowing he'd go back into Clefable, and I just go back into Diancie. The reason why I went into Diancie was just so I can do some damage to this Clefable while it's paralyzed, and hope for a paralysis as well. He does switch out, and I actually kind of anticipated this because he had the Scizor. Because yeah, and he goes into it, and therefore I decided to just go for Diamond Storm instead of the Moonblast, because yeah, I needed some damage on this Scizor, just to kind of like keep the offensive pressure on and whatnot. Then here I immediately hard switch into Zapdos, because if this thing goes for Bullet Punch, I lose Diancie instantly, and I was anticipating the Bullet Punch. He could have it carried Bug Bite too, so I didn't feel it carry U-turn. I don't even think Scizors even carried U-turn at the time, honestly. They usually carried Bug Bite, Knockoff, and I think Superpower. He switches out into Landorus T, and here I actually tried Volt Switching, and as you can see, he finally came out. And then here I just stay in, thinking he'd probably try to U-turn now that I couldn't Volt Switch, but he doesn't. He actually stays in and goes for Stone Edge, and you see, he got me right there. He actually, like, I was scared of this Landorus T all this time, and he actually got me right when I was starting to feel like, you know what, maybe that Landorus T will not come out this time. And he got me. I switched into Magnezone, and I just stayed in. I mean, switched out into... he stayed in and went for Stone Edge, and then he switched out. This allowed me to go for Thunderbolt on whatever, because everything else wouldn't take Thunderbolt very well. and then I take out his Rotom-W, and now he switches back into Redox just to basically either knock off or Earthquake. I switch out into Zygarde to take whatever attack it has, and I think he goes for the knockoff here again, which is really, well, it's better than going for U-turn to give him a switch advantage, you know. And he goes back into this thing, and once again I actually do predict this thing coming back out, so I just double switch it once again, and I go into Diancie once again. Now here I kind of over predict a little bit, but it seems to have paid off anyways, because I do get rid of this Clefable, I think. Because here I go for Diamond Storm again, thinking that the Scizor was going to come back. I wanted to go for Moonblast to see how much it would do, but yeah. And here the Clefable finally gets fully paralyzed. As you can see, it's actually affected by paralysis, unlike Burn and Poison, so that's why getting this thing paralyzed was actually a lot more ideal. I went for another Diamond Storm, and he actually got the Moonblast on my Diancie. Looking at the damage, it might have been a 3-shot, so the paralysis in the end wasn't like game breaking or anything like that. So I just go for the third Diamond Storm, take out this Clefable, because this Clefable was literally the most annoying thing in this entire team. He goes into Starmie now, and I'm like, you know what, I don't want to lose Diancie yet, so I just sacked Magnezone, which was specifically for that Clefable, because literally the one thing that pissed me off about most of Tesla's teams is that Clefable just never fucking dies. So I was like, you know what, let's just use this to kind of get around that thing. And now that it's gone, I just sacked it, and the Starmie didn't have recover for some reason, so it goes down with me too. And here I go into Zygarde, and he switches into Redox, and I'm like, you know what, he's probably gonna stay in and go for Earthquake, so I'm just gonna go for Glare. Like I stood by my play and just basically went for a Glare no matter what, because this Landorus T, I was literally scared if it would actually be Scarf, because if it's Scarfed I won't be able to do much against it. I go for the Glare, and he actually he double switches right here because he knows I was gonna go back into Zapdos because he's locked into Earthquake, and that I was gonna try to preserve the HP of Zygarde. He switches into this thing, and it does outspeed my Zapdos, which proves that it's jolly and offensive. But I actually did survive the Bug Bite, which was his most powerful move considering it's boosted by Technician as well. But I survived, and I actually KO it with a Heat Wave, which was basically the goal of the Zapdos in the first place. And then here I go for another Heat Wave just to get damage on this Redox and make sure I actually am able to KO it with my Mega Diancie. He breaks the paralysis and goes for the Stone Edge, and then hits, and then here KOs my Zapdos as a result. And now here I just send out Diancie, and I just finish this Landorus T. And that is gonna be the whole game. Like, holy shit, that was a good game. Good game to my boy Teslamouse right there. Like, this battle was super damn intense. I was thinking he's probably gonna like. It's because the thing was that even though it seemed like I may have had a lead, I just couldn't you know, hold back. I had to make sure that everything, because I had to make sure that everything was according to plan, basically, because there was actually some kind of strategy behind this, and it was actually just to, for example, the Zapdos KOing the Scizor, Magnetune KOing that Clefable. No counter teaming. It was actually just because he always switches his teams up anyways. But yeah, like I was actually hyped, and this is like honestly by far my best battle ever in ORAS. Like, there's no match like this, honestly. It was long, it was well played, and it was all kinds of craziness. But yeah, once again, good game to my boy Teslamouse, and that's gonna be it for today. And hopefully you all enjoyed this, because this was actually a hell of a battle. And just stay tuned for the next few battles. So yeah, I'll catch you next time.